Hi, I'm Docent Vicki at Point Lobos State Natural Reserve. We're at Weston Beach today with Docent Ed. Ed, what are we going to be learning today?
Well, today we're going to be learning a bit about rocks. And I am a geologist. I've been a geologist for a long time. And in fact, I think I started becoming a geologist when I was in the 4th grade because that's when I first started to collect rocks. And since then, I've looked at rocks all over the world and they all tell a story. For example, if I reach down and pick up a pebble right here, and maybe you can see it, this pebble has little white specks in it, but the specks have sides. Those are crystals. They formed in a volcano, an explosive volcano that erupted long ago and very far from here, and these pebbles tell that story. Every pebble on this beach has its own story if you can just figure it out, and that's what makes geology so interesting.
Ed, let's go trace fossil hunting.
I think that's a great idea. Fossil hunting is one of my favorite things.
Me too. Docent Ed, what is a trace fossil?
Well, a trace fossil is a mark that's left in the sand or mud by the animal that lives there. You don't find the body of the animal, but you do find the burrow or trace where the animal lived, and you know something about its lifestyle just by looking at its trace. For example, can you see this one here? This is an animal that lived in a hole, a tube, in the sediment on the seafloor. And it's in sand, and you can't make a tube in sand because it'll just collapse. So the animal very cleverly lines its tube with mud, and when it does that, the burrow stays open and it can live in it. Over here, we have another spectacular trace of an animal that was moving. In this case, you can tell which way it was moving, and I believe it was moving in this direction, and it was making tubes that went up into the sand overhead, probably to feed. And we don't know anything at all about what kind of animal that was. It's a real mystery. But these rocks, if you just look at them for a little while, you see are loaded with the tracks, trails, burrows that were made by the animals that lived here about 50 million years ago.
So we don't know what they look like, do we, Ed?
Most of them we don't. This one over here, the tube in the sand, similar tubes are made today by burrowing shrimp. So this may have been made by a shrimp-like animal. This animal that made this trace over here, we have no idea what kind of animal it was.
Fascinating. They're like little structural engineers packing the sides of the walls with their first shoring.
Exactly.
So what do you think those trace fossils look like? Be creative. Draw a picture of what you think those invertebrates look like 60 million years ago. Better yet, make your own trace fossil. Outside, step in the mud, make a footprint, and come back in 60 million years and see if it's still there. You made your own trace fossil. Come back and see us here at Point Lobos at Weston Beach with Docent Ed and Docent Vicki.